Hey everybody, I wanted to go over directions and kind of demonstrate a second for you this activity on the Colombian Exchange that I'm asking you to do. It's in Google Slides, and just like everything else I'm doing, this will create you your own version of this. So you are going to be doing the assignment actually on this Google slide. The first slide just gives you the directions. It says on the following slide, the second one over here, you'll have a map, and then there's a stack of images at the bottom. All of the images in that stack represent an example of the Colombian Exchange, some of which I may have mentioned in the notes, some of which I did not. And what you're going to do is research and figure out, okay, are these examples of things that were indigenous to the Americas and Europeans took with them back to Europe, or are these examples of things that were indigenous to Europe and then Americans, or Europeans took them there. So you're finding out which side of the map they go on. If you watch the video of the notes, which you should have, you remember one of the last things that was on there was a map that had two arrows and it was showing the different things. That's kind of what we're doing here. Now, none of these, or at least none of them, I think none of them should have been on that map. So you can't refer back to that when you are going to have to do the research. I chose for the most part different things. There may be one or two on there, but you're basically creating a map kind of like that. And then you're going to submit this in Google Classroom when you're done. So you'll go to the second page of the slideshow. This is the one that you're actually going to be manipulating. So you're not doing anything with this slide. You do something with this one. So you'll notice here we have this world map. Here are the Americas. I've already got one arrow that's pointing toward Europe and Africa and Asia. So on this side of the map is where you're going to put those things that were indigenous to the Americas. You will place them somewhere in whatever order you like and however arranged, as long as it's neat and they can all be seen, the things that came from the Americas. And we're demonstrating or illustrating that way that these are things that came from the Americas and then they moved over. Same thing on this side is where you will place those things that were indigenous to Europe or Africa or Asia, since Europeans were in contact with both, and you're demonstrating that they then went that way towards the Americas. Now over here, this is the stack I'm talking about, and it is a stack. So you may look at this and go, well, I only have one picture. No, you've got several. You have to unstack them, okay? You have to move them around. And then you'll find, I wanting to say there's 16 total. There used to be 20, but I cut it down. So you will need to research where all these things came from, and it keeps on going. Like I said, there's about 16 of them. And finding out which side of the map those things ought to go on, and then placing them accordingly. Lastly, just a piece of advice, I would recommend when you're doing your research not to look up each individual item. Like I would not Google chicken, because you're going to get so much information about chickens that finding where they originated from is going to be difficult. It's going to be like trying to find the needle in the haystack. I would recommend just looking up Colombian Exchange, and there you will find in one place, depending on whatever source you're looking at, and you can use Wikipedia is fine for something like this, or whatever source you want to use. You will find numerous examples listed, because you don't need to know, the biological specifics of these things, just where they originated from, and what side of the Colombian Exchange they fall on. So I think you'll have an easier time with that if you look up Colombian Exchange and research that, rather than research each of these individual things. When you are finished, you will upload this in Google Classroom. I hope you have fun doing it, finding more examples of the Colombian Exchange. I think in the process you'll find even more things that you didn't know were examples of that. Let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing your work.